little bit more time to do a second page in my Mixed Media Collage Sketchbook. So I wanted to share what I worked on for that one as well. This Mixed Media Collage Sketchbook is almost done. I've almost filled up all the pages. And this is one that I began working on during my son's swim lesson, but I ran out of time to finish it. So I was really excited to have a few moments today to sit down, get out my brush pens, and keep going back in. Unlike other pages in my sketchbook, this one had a very large collage section that was kind of a experiment bleed through of liquid watercolors, I think. And I normally cut up my collage, or tear up and cut up my collage pieces much smaller, but this one I decided to go in pretty big, and it didn't end up getting this cut up when I assembled the sketchbook. So it's really interesting that it goes across the entire spread and that it gives me a lot more to play with, but also changes the way I approach the page compared with many of the other pages in this book. So the collage piece is my jumping off point for where I started. So I began trying to loosely match the brush pens that I had to the colors that were down and kind of extend those colors across the page. And now I'm going back in with a Posca paint pen that is, interestingly enough, starting to run out of ink. So it's not as bold and opaque as Posca paint pens can be. But I love that because it allows me to kind of see through the color underneath it while still creating some really bold pops of brightness. And I've been really into dotted circles. It's kind of my new mark-making mark of choice. So the Posca paint pens work great for this because they naturally, this one especially, has that large tip. So it makes for a really lovely dot when you go to put it down. And then here I'm going over sections and kind of muting out some of those colors, creating some variation, almost sort of like puzzling it up, like in a way. It's kind of what it reminds me of. So I'm leaving some sections, I'm masking other ones, and really just kind of playing with how I can create a more dynamic composition without any pressure to the finished project because it isn't a finished product. It's just another page in a sketchbook that has been extremely fun to work on. And it's a chance to play and experiment and grow as an artist without any consequences or concerns about what happens. So per my usual fashion, I love to go back in with some black and add some pops of the other contrast with those darks. And my fountain pen is a lovely way to do this because it gives me so many great variations of line that I can play with. And these little kind of stitching hatch marks is another thing that I've been really drawn to lately, and kind of making this page feel almost like a quilted bunch of fabrics. I don't know, it has a very, very kind of quilting, comforting sort of feel to it. And then I wanted to play with adding some more dynamics to the circles and really take those farther. And I've happened to have collected a couple of fun Sharpie colors in the fine tips. So I'm going back around with those oranges and then creating even more of the stitch marks by mirroring what I did with the fountain pen, but now I'm doing it with the Sharpie. And then adding some bold lines to go along with the white ones just to kind of help things feel more resolved. And what I really love is that each step leads to the next step. There isn't a plan. You open the book, you look at a page, and whatever your first inspiration is, that's what you do. And then each mark or color section or whatever you're doing in your book leads to the next. And none of these pieces could have existed outside of this sketchbook because they all began with the randomness of how the pages ended up cut up and assembled together in the end. So it's really very fun. If you are curious about trying out this yourself, I have a really fun class on Skillshare that walks you through the steps of creating a mixed media collage sketchbook. If you've never created your own sketchbook before, this is a wonderful way to get into it. If you are not someone who has a lot of experience with drawing or painting or art, or you're wanting to kind of expand and break out of your typical art routine, this class is great for you as well. So I'll include the link below. And with that link, if you're not already on Skillshare, you can get 1 month free access to all of the classes that Skillshare has to offer, including my Mixed Media Collage Sketchbook class. I would love to see you in class and have you join me on this really fun art journey. And if you're already on Skillshare, come on over. Come find me on there, Elizabeth Welfare, or the link to the class. I love having that as a vehicle for teaching. So here I am, I'm going in with my fine liner from my calligraphy pen set. I do not do calligraphy, I do not do lettering. It's just not something that is in my wheelhouse or a strength of mine at the moment. But I do love the pens and the different tips that they have. So I often use them for mixed media pieces like this or Inktober or, anytime I want to do some fun line work. And the brush pens are one of my favorite pieces of materials to work with because I can put bold colors, I can put marks, I can layer over, and this set is drying out. So it creates a whole other challenge and interesting element as I, kind of use them on their final legs as I finish up this mixed media collage sketchbook, which is almost done. So stay tuned in the future for a sketchbook tour, seeing all the different pages. And they are very different and very exciting, thanks to this mixed media artist. Circles are always one of my go-tos for marks. I like them. They're aesthetically pleasing to me, so I tend to work them in some way, shape, or form. And then the page is done whenever you feel it's done. And you can keep working back into it. So the great thing is I can pick it up, I can put it down, and how it is when I've decided that the page is done is a complete surprise. You never know where you're going to get at by the end. So I hope you're having a very creative week. I hope you're finding some time to create, and thank you for taking the time to watch. Be sure to click the like and subscribe button to continue following my artistic journey and for exciting things that are coming in the future. Till next time.